Welcome back to AmdiVibes, where today, we are going back into the Nigerian night, because the last time we went there, we talked about taboos, about whistling, about names, about the rules that grandmothers enforce with a grip on your wrist. Today, we go deeper, because there is one sound in the Nigerian night that deserves its own story, a sound that generations of Nigerian children have been warned about. A sound that stops adults mid-conversation when it drifts in from the darkness outside. This sound is described across Yoruba, Igbo, Hausa, Efik, and dozens of other Nigerian traditions with remarkable consistency. It sounds like a baby crying, in the forest, in the bush, away from any house, away from any road. A baby, crying alone, the dark, and the warning that comes with it. Across every tradition that knows this sound, is always the same. Do not follow it. Do not go looking for the child, because there is no child. Every Nigerian who grew up in a village or a semi-rural environment knows this sound. The bush baby cry. It's described as uncanny in its resemblance to a human infant in distress. High-pitched, urgent. The kind of sound that activates something primal in every human being who hears it, the instinct to find the source, to help, to respond. The trap is in the instinct, because that deep biological drive to respond to a crying infant is precisely what makes it dangerous. The spiritual explanation is consistent. The cry is produced by a spirit, a trickster entity, something that has learned to mimic the most irresistible sound a human can hear, and uses it to draw people away from safety, away from light, away from community, into the forest, into the dark, into whatever the forest contains. The person who follows the sound goes further and further. The sound stays always just ahead, always just around the next tree, always close enough to follow, but never close enough to find, until the person following it is lost, or worse. So here at AmdiVibes, let's do what we always do. Let's look at what is actually making that sound. Because the bush baby cry is real. It's not a spirit. It's not a trickster entity. It's a primate. The Galago, known across West Africa as the bush baby. It's one of the most widespread nocturnal primates in sub-Saharan Africa. Small, roughly the size of a squirrel, with enormous eyes adapted for night vision and ears that can rotate independently to locate sound with extraordinary precision, and a vocal repertoire that includes a call, a contact call used between individuals, that is almost indistinguishable from the cry of a human infant. Not similar, almost identical. Researchers who have played recordings of Galago calls to people unfamiliar with the animal, including parents of young children, consistently report that listeners identify the sound as a baby crying. The resemblance isn't metaphorical, it's acoustic. The fundamental frequency, the harmonic structure, the temporal pattern, all fall within the range of human infant distress calls. A small nocturnal primate has evolved a call that mimics one of the most emotionally powerful sounds in the human acoustic environment. Whether that evolution was directed, whether natural selection specifically favored calls that resembled human infant cries, is a question researchers are still investigating. What is not in question is the sound itself. The bush baby sounds like a baby, in the forest, at night. Now, this is where the Nigerian tradition proves its sophistication, because the warning about the bush baby cry is not simply, don't be frightened. It is, do not follow. And that warning encodes something genuinely important about the ecology of the West African forest at night. Following an unfamiliar sound into dense bush and darkness is dangerous in ways that have nothing to do with spirits. The West African forest at night contains snakes, the gaboon viper, the green mamba, nocturnal hunters whose cryptic coloration makes them invisible to human eyes in daylight and completely undetectable in darkness. It contains open ground, features sinkholes, stream banks, sudden drops in terrain that are invisible at night and become serious injury hazards for someone moving quickly. It contains disorientation. The forest at night removes the visual landmarks people use to navigate. A person who walks 100 meters into the bush following a sound may find themselves unable to find their way back to safety. The person who follows the bush baby cry into the forest doesn't necessarily encounter a supernatural entity. They encounter a gaboon viper on a route, a stream bank they didn't see. The simple, comprehensive disorientation of being alone in the dark without landmarks. The spirit that lures people into the forest is real. It just has enormous eyes and a fur coat. This is the third story AmdiVibes has told about Nigerian nocturnal traditions. The whistle that calls snakes, the name that lures children, the cry that draws people into the forest. And by now, the pattern should be clear. Every Nigerian nocturnal taboo we have examined has the same structure. A sound or action that activates a specific human instinct. A spiritual warning attached to that sound or action. And a real, ecological danger that the spiritual warning protects against. The tradition doesn't say, "There is a snake near where you whistle." It says, "Whistling calls spirits." The tradition doesn't say, "A predator might mimic your child's voice." It says, "Spirits can steal your child's name and use it to lure you." The tradition doesn't say, "The Galago call will lead you into snake territory in the dark." It says, "Do not follow the baby crying in the forest." The mechanism is always spiritual. The protection is always ecological. The sophistication is always in the translation between the two. And here's the detail that makes this story even more extraordinary. The Galago, the bush baby itself, is a deeply significant animal in many Nigerian spiritual traditions, not simply as a source of a dangerous sound, but as a creature that occupies the boundary between worlds. Nocturnal, enormous-eyed, moving through the darkness with an ease that humans cannot match. Its eyes reflect light with a red-orange glow that people moving through the forest at night sometimes glimpse before they hear it. Two eyes, glowing in the dark, then a cry like a baby. In a tradition that understands the night as a space where the boundary between the living and spirit world is thin, the Galago is exactly the kind of creature you would expect to find on that boundary. Not a spirit itself, but a creature of the liminal, of the in-between. A reminder that the forest at night operates by rules the daylight world does not prepare you for. So what does the bush baby story teach us? It teaches us that the most dangerous traps are the ones that use our best instincts against us. The crying baby activates compassion, the instinct to help, the willingness to move toward danger because someone might need you. These are good instincts. They are also exploitable instincts. In the forest at night, by a Galago. In daily life, by people who understand that compassion and generosity are not just virtues. They are vulnerabilities that can be targeted, that can be used to lead you somewhere you should not go. The bush baby is a lesson in discernment, not the suppression of good instincts, but the wisdom to know when those instincts are being used against you. The second lesson is one we've told before, but it bears repeating. These traditions are not superstition. They are warning systems, built by communities living in close relationship with specific environments, refined over generations of observation, and transmitted through the most durable technology available: story, taboo, and spiritual prohibition. The Galago call is real. The danger of following it is real. The warning encoded in the tradition is real. The spirit is the delivery mechanism. The safety is the content. And the final lesson is the most personal. There are sounds in every life that sound like something you should follow, that activate your compassion, your generosity, your need to help. Some of those sounds are genuine. Some are Galagos in the dark. Learning the difference, without losing the instinct to respond, is one of the most important skills a human being can develop. Do not follow every cry into the forest, but do not stop hearing them either. Here at AmdiVibes, we tell these stories because ancient wisdom and modern lessons are always the same thing, just wearing different clothes. If this story moved you, share it with someone today. Subscribe to AmdiVibes for more stories that bridge the ancient and the modern. We'll see you in the next one.